picture Central America, what comes to mind? Tropical beaches, maybe dense jungles? Well, if so, you'd be right on both counts for Belize. But this small nation, located right on the Caribbean coast, is holding a monumental secret. Because believe it or not, it's actually the heart of an ancient world. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. For centuries before any European ship even touched the coast, this entire area was flourishing with one of the most brilliant civilizations in human history. The Maya. I mean, imagine giant stone cities like Caracol, which was once bigger than modern-day Belize City. Or Zunan Tunich, whose massive pyramid still looks out over the valley. These weren't just simple villages, they were advanced city-states. They had totally mastered engineering, astronomy, and math, complete with their own writing system. And if you don't believe me, just look at the ruins of Lamanai and Altunha today. They're absolute proof of the Maya's incredible power. But by the time the Spanish rolled up in the 16th century, those huge Maya cities were already starting to fade. The people who remained were living in smaller, scattered communities. They couldn't defeat the conquistadors outright, but they couldn't be decisively beaten either. The Spanish tried to force Christianity on them, and it mostly just bounced off. So what did the Spanish do? They basically ignored the place. They called it too rough, too swampy, and most importantly, it wasn't packed with gold. So the Spanish looked right past it. And that is the exact moment the British crashed the party. And this is where the story of Belize takes a sharp, wild turn. Because the Spanish kept their distance, this rugged, marshy coastline became the perfect hideout. At first it was buccaneers, yeah, straight-up pirates, who used the coast as a base to attack Spanish treasure ships. But by the mid-17th century, they shifted to a slightly more legitimate, though still dangerous business. Logwood cutting. Why logwood? Because a dye from this tree was like gold for Europe's booming fabric industry. These British settlers, who called themselves baymen, were trespassing, and Spain saw them as squatters. So while Spain still officially owned the place, they were tired of fighting. That's why, in 1763 and 1783, they basically shrugged and signed treaties. The Spanish allowed the Brits to cut valuable wood, but they strictly forbade the baymen from setting up any kind of formal government here. So the baymen created a strange, anarchic society, running things through informal public meetings. It was ruled by the settlers, for the settlers. But this setup exploded in 1798 at the Battle of St. George's Caye. The Spanish tried one last time to kick the British out for good. But the baymen, with a crucial assist from the enslaved Africans and free Creoles, won the battle. That victory meant that even though it wasn't official yet, Belize became a British colony in all but name. Then, fast forward to the early 19th century, a new group arrived, the Garifuna. These were folks of mixed African and indigenous Carib heritage, exiled from other British colonies. They settled the southern coast, adding another layer to the culture. Then the border got busy, because a massive indigenous uprising in Mexico, specifically the Caste War, sent thousands of Spanish-speaking refugees flooding into northern Belize. In the mid-19th century, they brought back old Maya communities and started new farms, growing sugar and citrus. Later, more Mopan and Quechua Maya fled oppression in Guatemala and settled in the south. See how that all came together? This constant mixing established the rich ethnic soup that makes Belize so special today. But we'll talk more about that later. In the meantime, the British were finally getting formal, because in 1862 they officially named the area British Honduras, and by 1871 it became a crown colony, basically run directly by the Queen. The economy was stuck in the mud, and the average person had zero say in anything. By the 1930s, everything went downhill. There was a worldwide depression, and a devastating hurricane in 1931 flattened Belize City. That's when people started organising, strikes broke out, and everyone demanded a real voice. This led to the founding of the People's United Party, or PUP, in 1950, led by George Price. George Price slowly steered British Honduras through the steps. They got the right to vote for all adults in 1954, and full internal self-government in 1964. And in 1973, they finally dumped the old colonial name and finally became Belize. But they hit one giant roadblock, Guatemala. Guatemala claimed the whole territory was theirs, inherited from Spain. And this hostility dragged out independence for years. One day, Belize took its case to the United Nations, and on September 21st, 1981, it became fully independent, with Britain promising to help defend the border. So that's the journey. But honestly, to truly get Belize, you've got to look at the land itself. The geography here isn't just a background, it is the story. So, quick geography lesson. Belize is snuggled right on the Caribbean coast of Central America. You've got Mexico up top, and Guatemala wrapping around the sides. And size-wise, it's only about 8,869 square miles, or 22,970 square kilometers total. That gives it the lowest population density in Central America, meaning there's a ton of gorgeous, wild, undeveloped land left. And that's exactly where we're going. First stop, the coast. Running almost the entire length is the incredible Mesoamerican Barrier Reef. It's the second largest in the entire world. So think of it as a massive, natural seawall, stretching more than 600 miles or 966 kilometers, and protecting all those tiny islands, or cays. This is why diving here is legendary, and why tourism thrived over the years. Then, as you move inland, the country splits into two. The north is mostly flat and a bit dry. Travel south, and everything becomes lush, especially up the Maya Mountains. The air is heavy, the rain is massive. Plus, it's home to the highest point, Doyle's Delight, at 3,688 feet, or 1,124 meters. But you know how it is. With vast nature comes incredible wildlife. And in Belize, you can find the amazing Baird's tapir, affectionately called the mountain cow, and weighing up to 600 pounds or over 170 kilograms. And get this, Belize has the world's most concentrated population of jaguars. They even set up the Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary just to protect them. Now, I know what you're thinking. This place is beautiful and all, but what's the weather like? Well, considering everything we've talked about thus far, the entire country thrives on this tropical climate. It's generally hot and humid, with a mean temperature in Belize City hovering around 79 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius in December, and 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius in July. So by now you probably already know that Belize is unique, but did you know it's also an upper middle income country with strong ties to the Caribbean community? Their total GDP is about $3.67 billion in 2024. But the real headline is the amazing bounce back after the pandemic. When COVID hit, the economy shrank by almost 14% in 2020. But from 2021 to 2023, the economy collectively surged by over 30%, making it one of the fastest recoveries in the Caribbean. And it's all thanks to tourism and a growing tech sector called Business Process Outsourcing, or BPO. That strong recovery pushed growth up another huge 8.1% in 2024. Even better, the poverty rate dropped dramatically from 36% in 2021 to just 22% in 2024. Talk about making progress. So, where does all this cash come from? You guessed it, tourism. This sector contributes around 40% of the economy, and a lot of the investments here mostly pour into hospitality. Looking ahead, economists expect growth to settle down to about 2 to 3%. But there are three big threats. First, climate change. Hurricanes and rising seas are a constant danger to the coast. Second, the decades-old border dispute with Guatemala. This conflict is so serious that both countries have agreed to take the case to the International Court of Justice for a final ruling. And third, the tight labour market. Because even though the unemployment rate is actually at an all-time low, plummeting to around 2.1% in 2024, they have a low female labour force participation rate. But for now, let's shift away from these concerns and look at the brighter side, Belize's vibrant culture. When you look at Belize's culture, it's not just one thing. It's a brilliant, delicious mix of influences from literally all over the globe. Yes, it's a small country, but it's one of the most diverse places you'll ever visit. Let's start with the people. While there are smaller groups like Chinese, Mennonites, and expats, the majority of the population comes from four main groups. The biggest group today is the Mestizo, a beautiful mix of Spanish and Maya ancestry. They're followed by the Creole, Maya, and Garifuna peoples. And you know what this incredible mix creates? A country where almost everyone is multilingual. The official language is English, thanks, British history. But almost everyone also speaks Creole patois. This is a unique broken English dialect that acts as the universal language. On top of that, you'll hear Spanish and distinct Maya languages like Yucatec, Mopan, and Quechua. Besides language, you know the best way to experience Belize's diversity? It's to eat your way through it. Belizean cuisine is a food lover's dream, blending Caribbean staples with Maya and Mexican traditions. You've absolutely got to try the staples: rice and beans. It's the Caribbean classic, usually served with perfectly spiced, tender stew chicken. Then, for a unique local dish, try chimole, which gets its colour from a paste made from annatto seeds. And if you're a fan of Mexican food, you'll love the similar dishes here, like tamales, which are steamed cornmeal, and meat wrapped in plantain leaves. Plus, since you're right on the Caribbean, fresh seafood is everywhere. So grab some ceviche, which is freshly caught conch, fish or lobster marinated in lime, and pair it with a cold beer. Speaking of drinks, Belize's national cocktail is the sweet and simple rum punch. For beer fans, you can't go wrong with Belikin, which is proudly brewed by Belizeans for Belizeans. And don't be surprised to find unique local drinks too. Since grapes don't grow well here, Belizeans have started making their own fruit wines, with cashew wine becoming super popular. But the culture of Belize isn't just about food, it's about rhythm too. In the south, you'll find the vibrant Garifuna people. Their culture, known for its bright colours and delicious food, is most famous for its hypnotic drumbeat music called punta. The UNESCO-recognised language, music and dance are so central that they celebrate Garifuna Settlement Day every November 19th. Then you have the enduring legacy of the Maya. Their civilization may have flourished centuries ago, but the culture is alive and well today. You can still tour the incredible ruins and often be guided by a contemporary Maya descendant who can share stories passed down through generations. Finally, while the roots of the country are Roman Catholic, the British influence means Belize has more Protestants than any other country in Central America. In fact, the Maya and Garifuna often blend their own traditional shamanism with Christian practices, showing you how everything in Belize is a beautiful, cohesive mashup. Seeing as Belize is one of the most diverse countries out there, here's a question for you. If you could create your own brand new culture by pulling the most exciting elements from any country in the world, what would its signature cuisine and official language be? I'm curious to see what you guys come up with. And as always, if you love this video, you'll enjoy this next one.